raised in the Tobagos. We growing like fresh tomatoes. Them boys on fire, too fuego. We pass it round hot potato. Everything is nuevo. I'm with my sweetie like Quavo. Need my cheese, need that queso. Need my bread, need that bankroll. Wake up, yes, Lord, I'm thankful. Another day on my schedule. Steady blocking the devil. I tell a hater, God bless you. Cherish moments that's special. You gotta keep the memento. If you love me, then I love you, and I could never forget you. Some memories don't fade. Sometimes you miss the old days, but nothing changed less you change. What's around you?
Nothing changed less you change.
Fuego.
Fuego.
Fuego. I'm not really sharp on my Spanish right now. I ain't been to Mexico in a minute, but tu fuego.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Black Authors. I am Rev Skip. Who are you?
You know I'm Monkey Turtle.
Yes, you are, brother. Yes, you are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I just get inspired, like coming up to our shows every week that I get to hang with you, brother. I get to hang with you, get to talk with you.
And you my brother from another, for sure.
What's going on, man? How your week been?
It's been good. I ain't heard from you. Where you been?
Brother. I got to tell you, it was a mad, crazy, busy week. And I was going to call you on Labor Day, but what had happened was I got an asthma attack. I got an asthma attack from the fires. I woke up on Monday, went out to work out, and I could barely breathe. There was this orange haze, and I looked at the sun, and there was no sun. And I could barely breathe.
It looks like that in California right now. It seems like it's about 8:39 at night right now.
Yeah, it's like that. So I got my inhaler out because I do have asthma. And I just had to like chill out and just relax and just, be in it. But that's my morning get down. I got to tell you, I watch every barbershop, beauty shop, every film on Labor Day, brother. I watched it. It's the funniest thing, man. These movies are absolutely funny in such a deep level. And I've been we've been talking about that. I've been merging myself into like Black culture, watching sitcoms that are about Black people with Black people in it, reading Black authors or subject matters about Black people. And I was like, okay, I need to laugh. So Barbershop came up and I started watching 1. And then I said, oh, now I got to go to 2. I got to go to 3, the next cut. And then I said, okay, I got to watch Beauty Shop too. And I had never laughed so much, my brother. Never laughed so much.
Brilliant movies. And they do talk about a lot of social issues at the same time they're being funny.
At the same time. And it reminds me, we're not going to get there yet, but what we're talking about today is we're going into the Men of Color Collective, Elevation Collective. And what I realized is watching the barbershop, I remember back in those days where we used to go to the barbershop and just hang out. And when it was time to get our hair cut, there were people playing checkers. There were men just getting real with each other, really getting real with each other, talking about everything from church to the preacher, to their wives, to their girlfriends, everything.
Yeah. Sports.
Absolutely. And speaking of sports, what's your get down, brother? And
speaking of sports, I just got told yesterday that the NFL is going to be starting regular season this weekend. This COVID thing we don't even rewatch sports like we used to anymore, right? Yeah. And when we do, we've been watching a little bit of the playoffs. But they have the little electronic fans up there now. I don't know if you've seen that. It's super funny. But it's just like,
I have not.
Oh, they have electronic fans on the wall, like real people, but it's a electronic thing where they move and stuff, but they're not there. It's super
I saw
funny.
the one for baseball. That was
these are actually, they ain't cardboards, but they're actually people. But it's a video from their homes, moving around and doing hand things, and it's hilarious.
I've been watching like the US Open. I don't even know if Serena has gotten through into the final right now, into the semifinals. She was in the quarterfinals. She was just playing, and I'm not sure if she is now in the I'll find out after the semifinals, but they had that at the US Open. It's so wild to watch.
See, I didn't even know that tennis was going. And that's the thing. I'm so disconnected. And, sports is a huge part of America. And sports, used to have a hold on me to where if my team lost, I was in a bad place. And I had to step back from it when I started to make my personal transformation, because I realized it was pulling me into something that I didn't want to be a part of. It wasn't making my life better. I was being angry if my team didn't do what I thought my team. It's like when you look back at it, right?
Here's your brother.
Right. If you stand back and look and go, was this enjoyable for me? No.
I had the same epiphany, my friend. My roommate, Boston fan, and I'm, at the time a New Yorker, straight up. And when there was Yankees and Red Sox, man, I would be nasty. I didn't like the way I showed up to something that was supposed to be friendly and to bring us together. The other thing too, brother, I got to ask you about football. I can't watch it right now after watching the film Concussion. I had to stop watching it, and then I was going to go back to it, and then Kaepernick happened, and he still doesn't have a job. So I'm still boycotting football. How do you feel about that, my brother?
Well, last year I didn't. Like I said, I'm not into it like I used to be. You know what I'm saying? So, hopefully this year there'll be some changes, because in basketball they're definitely they're talking about it. It's on the court. It's on the floor of the basketball court. Yeah. Or putting it on the jerseys. Yeah. Where before Kaepernick, any of that would have been against league rules, against league policy, and they would have probably, suspended you or did whatever, right? So the conversation is being had. So I'm thinking in football, either they're going to have to step up and do the right thing, or they're not going to have any fans, period. Yeah.
Well, do you think Kaepernick will get a job back?
You know what? I hope so. But the thing about Kaepernick is, and I tell everybody this, Kaepernick's purpose is what he's doing now. His job is being a football player.
I totally believe that, brother. I am so down with that.
So he thought if his goal in life was to be a professional football player, and that was his goals and dreams, and he did that, but it wasn't his purpose.
It wasn't his purpose.
His purpose shifted after football. He's way more relevant now than he ever will be as a football player. He will go down in the history books, and people won't even probably realize he was a football player. You see, that's the impact he's having now. They'll be like, Colin Kaepernick played football. That's what the conversation is going to be in 20 years or 30 years from now. And be like, yeah, he's a football player.
And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, brother. Everybody's taking a knee now. Everybody's taking a knee. There, Naomi Osaka said when she was at the Southwest, when she was supposed to play the semifinals, she walked off saying, "I'm not playing." And then they canceled the tennis for that day. They canceled, and Milwaukee said they're not playing. Nobody played, and I was like, my Lakers aren't playing. They're not playing. They didn't play. So I love this activism that's happening right now. There is a change that's happening, and I believe if you get it in the pocket, man, people are going to start to.
That's where you got to hit them. That's where you got to hit them. That's the only language they speak. If they go, they're not gonna play. They're gonna be like, okay, let that in, allow that. You know what I'm saying? Because we need to get paid. Period. Yeah. It doesn't matter if that's the reason they're doing it. It's starting to become visible now, right? Where it wasn't before. It doesn't matter the reason. If they're just concerned about their money or whatever, let's have this discussion.
Yeah. You know what's so funny about this conversation we're having? I realize how much I really didn't need. I don't need so much like having cable TV or watching sports that I thought was so important years ago. It's just, dude, all these things that we think that we deem as being important, it's not important. And that's the message I've been getting. It's just not important.
No, not at all. It matter of fact, at one point, it was making my life. Yeah. Wasn't improving my life at all. It was going the opposite direction. Every week, I'm mad, especially if you have a team that's not good. So every week you get to watch this disaster on TV that gets you emotionally entangled with it and upset all day. I'd be upset at people around me that had nothing to do with it.
Brother, I got to tell you, I would be pissed off if Serena didn't win and Venus
I turned my phone off. I wouldn't talk to nobody else.
I love you, man. I love your honesty. But I do want to say something that is very important to me that, I am from the New York, New Jersey area. And
are you apologizing right now?
No, I'm not apologizing. Okay, I've been in Cali for a long time. I've been in Cali for a long time. And my first I think my first 5 years, 9/11 happened, brother. And I was still really connected. Had so many friends in New York, my family in Jersey. The whole world was affected. And we're coming up to this time of 9/11. So before I say what I got to say, I'm going to send this shout out to the memorial. We're remembering 2,977, probably more than that, of people that lost their lives. And so we are not saying this we're bringing this memorial and saying we remember. But I got to tell you something. 9/11 woke me up. And that's why every year I remember where I was. And I was living in Laguna Beach in Orange County, predominantly white neighborhood. And, I'm on the beach, view of the beach. And all of a sudden in that morning, it was like 9 o'clock, or it was like, I remember what time was. All of a sudden watching the Trade Center come down, I realized, oh, life is going to be different. Life is going to be different. But it opened me up to question a lot around why did this happen? It opened up my eyes to how deep everything this government is doing right now, how deep it went to. That's a whole nother show. But
I don't believe the story. I do not believe that story one bit. And that story doesn't make any sense at all.
There's a lot of it that doesn't make sense, but I do recognize the lives that were lost.
Absolutely. Me too. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
I know you are. That's as far as we're going to do a whole show of conspiracy, because there is truth in conspiracy. But where were you at 9/11? Do you remember?
I was in San Diego.
Yeah.
Hanging out for the whole summer. And I just got through, my party in the night before. So I was super hungover. And then the people in the house they was like, man, you got to see this. You got to see this. And I got up and just the whole day long, I was just looking at the TV. Just like, what is going on?
That was a deep moment, man. I couldn't stop crying. I cried for about 2 weeks. And then I started asking these questions about, like you're saying, the story is coming forward. It's like, that doesn't make sense to me. So I opened up my mind to really begin to examine what this is all about. So, but I just want to, bring that attention, because Friday is we commemorate 9/11. I just didn't want this show to go miss without saying that we honor all the lives that transitioned in that time, and we still remember. And I don't ever want to forget. It was a very important time of our life. So, yeah. Speaking of barbershops, and I know we are going into this Men of Color Elevation Collective. Have you did your conversation with Dr. Shaka yet? Have you?
Man, we had a great conversation.
We did too.
How long we spoke for, but yeah, it just felt good. It felt right. It was a great conversation.
So we're going to bring on Dr. Shaka and Dr. Shaka Hatcher. Let me talk about him for a minute. 14 years experience practicing chiropractic in Australia. I want to know about that. And he came back to the U.S. March 2020, March 5th. Dude, 5 days before, I know it was March 5th, but he came back in March, right before the COVID shutdown. This pandemic was officially on. I believe it was on before that. I want to talk to him about that. And then he is now embracing this new calling, which, everyone calls chiropractic alternative medicine. It's primary medicine. And I love our conversation. He allowed me to even pray on. I thought that was, he's like, will you say a prayer? I was like, absolutely. That's what I do. So, and I believe what is happening now, this tribe of men of color and those who are allies are rising up into this moment to help each other. One thing I realized after doing, shout out to Black Lives Matter Long Beach, my brother, I went there in Long Beach on Saturday and we were talking about that we got to stop. We can have our agenda, but we also are here to help each other.
Yes. How was that experience, by the way?
Can I tell you, it was the first time me being out in a big crowd, and it was a healing forum. So we did libations, bringing in the ancestors. We spoke about it. Reach out, look behind here, because my ancestors. This is my grandmama, y'all. My ancestors, my granddaddy, y'all. This is my grandmother, granddaddy. I bring them in with me everywhere I go. Everything I do, they sit right here next to me. They guide me. We did this libations of bringing forth the ancestors. It was such a beautiful, beautiful experience. I cried. And then all the practitioners and ministers and facilitators of the healing forum, we prayed. We went straight there. It was amazing, but it was a realization that we're here to help each other as a people to rise up. And I believe that's what Dr. Shaka, and I love that name. I'm having a little like name envy. Who named you Shaka? Really?
Yeah. Well, greetings, boys, and
Hey.
Thank you for the opportunity to come up here and
Thanks for coming.
chat with
Thanks
you
for
guys.
being on the show.
I guess real quickly, I got my name from my dad, and it was a blessing, and it has been to have been named after Shaka Zulu. But I'm dyslexic, so I had troubles reading growing up, right? And my dad, was an avid reader, and he's throwing these big ass books at me, and making me read these things about Shaka Zulu. It's taken me like 3 years to read a book, So it was a blessing, but a curse as well.
So, Australia, tell us a little bit about why the land down under and what brought you there, brother.
I was in chiropractic school in Atlanta, Georgia, and down there in the South, like we were talking about, month. And
ATL, brother, ATL.
And I met my wife in New Zealand when I was living down there and teaching down there. And we were done with chiropractic school, and we were just taking a look at a couple other places on the planet to go look at to live. So in Australia was one of them. Argentina was another. A couple spots in the U.S. We were looking in Europe, and we chose Australia because rugby had to be played and there had to be good fishing. So so we ended up down there on the Sunshine Coast of Queensland. Yeah. It was
So
a pretty
rugby fan, you say?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to play when I got to college in Colorado. I thought I was a football player, like you guys were just talking about, and I was trialing for the team and kind of trying to walk on. Hurt myself, and then tried to rehab for about 12 months. It was my ankle, and they basically said, "No, you got no shot." And it was a blessing in disguise. I ended up playing tennis all summer in Denver. And I was playing this cat all summer, and at the end of the summer, he was like, "Shaka, why don't you come and play rugby, man? Because you're no good in tennis." So he ended up being my coach, and I ended up playing rugby and used that to really get around the world, really. Yeah, so I made a collegiate All-American team, and then moved to New Zealand.
I was very when I lived in Ireland. I was introduced. I lived in Ireland for 4 years in Dublin. And I was introduced to rugby. I still don't understand it, but I love to watch it. I don't know what it is about watching it. I don't know the rules in and out. And the All Blacks, when they do their, because I think I'm part New Zealand somewhere because my tats say that I am. When they do that dance, man, watch out. Here come the black people, y'all. The black people really mean business.
They do. And what you guys are talking about earlier in regards to the football piece, one of the pieces that I really resonated with rugby is that not only is it a team sport and we're fighting over a ball, which is kind of a manly piece, but after the game, it was all about communicating with the other team. And that part was vastly different than growing up in the United States, right? You go and you play ball, you bang each other, and then you leave and you dip. And, screw them. I don't want to see you till next time. But in rugby, you have coaches, a chat, and you say your greetings and you say thank you and you talk about the game, and then you guys break bread and have a beer, and that part changed my life a great deal.
Oh yeah, they don't do that here. They might have a shooting in a parking lot, fights in the stands, players ripping each other's helmets off, all that.
Yeah, that's right.
On social media. Yeah, it's way different. I didn't know it was like that. Rugby.
Yeah, man, it's hard enough just to play ball, right? You're banging each other anyway, so you might as well enjoy it and say, fair contest and drink a beer and carry on.
That sounds something like sportsmanship.
Yeah,
I was going to say that. It's like, and it's the fans. It's like the crazy fan. But on the flip side, in Europe, the footballers, and I'm not talking about the footballers, those footballer fans, man, they are no joke.
They killing each other, stabbing each other.
The fans, they scare me. You know.
Back in the day when they're in Raider games out here, back in the day, people would get killed at the games, ran over. It's like shootings. I mean, just crazy stuff. People getting hit over the head with bottles. It was crazy.
And the Raiders just moved to Vegas, so you have alcohol and the Raiders in Vegas.
But no, it's changed now though. The Raiders now, or even in the last 10 years, have changed from like like the fans and everything. They really, got it locked down as far as if you're violent at all, they're gonna get you and throw you in jail. Or whatever the case may be, but it's way a calmer atmosphere at the Raider games. Yeah, and I'm sure in Vegas they're going to have the rules are going to be so tight because of the new facility. So they're not going to take anything.
I hope so. Brother. We'll wait and see because it's happening. It's coming next week, brother. We'll wait and see.
I don't think they're going to be in that new facility though till like mid-season maybe.
You think mid-season? Okay. We'll wait and see. Dr. Shaka, why chiropractic, and what was the call for you about chiropractic? Because I know that when I go to get adjusted, I have not had a hands-on adjustment in about 7 months, and I'm missing it. But there is this opening of energy that I feel every time I'm adjusted. I feel this space of freedom. I want to know, what was the call for you for chiropractic?
Look, I grew up a chiropractic patient in a chiropractic family. And so, it was always about, what we could do for ourselves to help us feel better. And that was really a blessing that my mom and her family kind of bestowed on us. But, I was lucky enough to get that scholarship to go play rugby at chiropractic school. But in regards to health and wellness and the approach to chiropractic, it really talks about, the 3 stresses, your physical stresses, things that you may have done when you were a young fella, bumping your head against each other on the football field, falling out of a tree, your posture, how you're sitting in your chair for the next however long while we're going through this COVID thing. The physical stresses. And then there's the chemical stuff, the stuff that you choose to put in, the stuff that you choose not to put in. So, I can eat well, or I could choose to eat really well, depending on my financial kind of budget. And then, you got your mental, emotional pieces, the stuff that's happened in the past, not just for me, to my family, to my family's family, growing up, all those pieces are us. And, we would be remiss to not pay attention to those old experiences and how they affect us right now. And that's really how we look at the health and wellness piece, at least how I do.
Yeah, we talked about on here before. Haven't we talked about epigenetics before, Skip?
Yes, we have.
Trauma passed down through the generations, unhealed trauma that a lot, especially a lot of people of color, are dealing with because of so much trauma from just American history. So if we go back 4 generations, what was going on with our ancestors? What kind of trauma were they going through? And then every single, like me and Shaka, we had our conversation. It's like, my dad, I didn't want to be that, and I ended up being that. Because there's still stuff that was passed down to me. And even though I didn't want to be that, my programming was that. So eventually I turned into that. And until I, with my meditation practice, releasing all those old patterns, I would have continued to stay that.
And thank goodness you had that opportunity to, step back and slow down and take a look, right? And, I think that's what the Men of Color Elevation Collective is about. It's about offering different insights and different angles from brothers like yourself about how you deal with your personal pieces. And everybody handles it differently. And doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. And the cats that might be listening, they might pick up a pearl from you and a pearl from you, Skip, and then, maybe a couple pieces from other folks. And that, now they're gathering good pieces, and the old bad stuff just falls off the back, just like the explorers in the back of the day. And that's really what it's really about.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the collective in a moment, but I'm still fascinated with, how does chiropractic help to elevate someone's individual experience to maybe thinking differently, or reaching higher? What is it? Because I believe it's a mystical thing that happens in chiropractic. Me, I'm a mystic. I love the mystical energy and the release. I believe in the chakra system. I believe in the vibration and frequency. I know there's something spiritual around chiropractic. So what is it? What is your experience of it, brother?
What a great question. For me personally, chiropractic is the power of touch, right? And the power of intention. And with that, you clear, you clean, you heal. And whether or not that's, a musculoskeletal piece, I hurt my shoulder from playing ball, or if it's an old piece from what I did to myself in college by drinking a whole bunch of beer, or what things happened to me as a young child, right? The power of touch is so enormous that it helps their cells cleanse and move forward. And then if the verbiage is correct with you and I, or Monk and I, then the conversation allows us to go deeper and deeper, right? And allows us to open and have a rebirthing almost.
I'm so ignorant when it comes to chiropractic. I've been to a chiropractor one time, and that's because it was a birthday gift. And I went in there, and the dude just kind of cracked me a couple of times and got up and left. I'm like, okay. I mean, I didn't have any injuries or anything like that, but I never thought about it as like energy moving until just right now when Skip was talking, what he was talking about.
Well, so I mean, super basic stuff, and I'm sure you already know this, right? The brain controls everything, and the brain, sends its message to every nerve, muscles, cell, organ in our body. And if there's some sort of interference, some sort of damage that's happened in the past, then you're not as robust as you can be, right? Your message is kinked, to put it simply, right? We're not unkinking anything, but we're certainly adjusting the spine so that the nervous system and the brain can work more closely to 100. And when that happens, who knows what the results are, right? You start thinking different for sure. The foods that you put in, the wonderful foods that you guys put in, might assimilate better into, more muscles, right? If you're adjusted appropriately.
You're making me want to go to a chiropractor today.
So, Shaka, doctor, you saying that there is help for amongst old ageism. So I get, thank you. I was wondering, how can we, I'm just messing, but I truly do feel different now. And I have not been going because of COVID. I just, don't want to really leave my house unless I have to. But I feel that there's something still that's kind of stuck that I need to release. How are people going to chiropractics now with just being safe and being in social distancing? What precautions do we take? Because I know I need to go back to my chiropractor. My chiropractor is not even seeing anyone right now. He already told me, but I need to find someone. I really miss the adjustment and acupuncture. I miss that as well. So what do we need to do, Doc?
Well, I guess get on the horn and try to find somebody else. But patients are arriving at practices. They're just going with, their mask on, and they're appropriately separated in terms of practice visit times. And, you're just going in there, and the practice normally will be wiping down and kind of see the patient and then clean up after the patient leaves. So your body's telling you need some help.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I feel it. We're sitting all the time.
So go get some help. And we're about to do that for who knows how long, right? They're going to lock us up for a long time. So
don't take that vaccination, y'all. It ain't ready.
Look, I can't comment on that.
Yeah, ain't no one sticking needles in me.
That vaccination's not ready, y'all. Don't be taking it.
The cold part about it is, Shaka, when they said they want to give it to black people, and Native people first because they're at the biggest risk. It's like, man, you think we're gonna fall for that one? We're gonna be walking around here with growths coming out our arms, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man, we ain't gonna.
There's a hearing today, Dr. Shaka. There's a hearing today on Capitol Hill about getting the truth about the vaccinations that are being created in the United States, and Europe in London today was saying we're not ready. We have to halt these trials because we're not ready. You as a doctor, how are you? Because I know doctors, y'all take this in a different way. You simulate it differently than we do. So do you want to speak about this vaccination? What's going on?
Loaded question.
Okay, I know you.
So
I know you gotta tiptoe.
I certainly do have to do that. Coming from Australia,
Yes.
In Australia, I can't say really anything, and in the United States, you can say I think more. So I'm a little bit apprehensive. But what I do know to be true is that that we're smart enough to come up with our own decision.
Yeah.
When you look at all the research.
Well done. Well done. You're right. I
kind of Heisman that. Sorry.
Boom, brother. That was so good.
It's crazy right now, though, is it's almost like to go to the gym, to do these things that are really good for us. We almost have to go underground to take care of ourselves. It's like we can't go to the chiropractor like Skip was saying. We can't go do the Reiki and all the healing things that can help us through this thing. We got to go try to sneak around and do it, or find someone that's going to do it from home or whatever. And that's the crazy part, right?
You can go to the bar.
Right? You can go have a cocktail and drink and just spit on everybody while you're talking, but you can't go get some Reiki or chiropractic care or whatever. That's the crazy part. That's what we got to look at. Like, what are they really wanting us to do? Right? What state do they want us to be in? If they can allow the bar and all this other stuff, but we can't go out and do things to help and heal ourselves, do they really want us to help and heal ourselves is the question.
Well, Monk, I would answer that. It's that they never wanted us to help and heal ourselves.
That's what we say on the show. That's why we did this show.
It has been, for men of color, in particular, African-American men, forever, it's been live in fear, which now your cells are going to be different. Your adrenals are going to be heightened, so you're not going to be able to rest, right? You wonder if somebody's going to come and swoop you up or beat you down. And, with that, then, you're looking for different highs, right? You're looking for different highs so that you think that you're calming down. So that could be alcohol, that could be sugar, that could be fast foods, right? And, if they keep you agitated, then you're not able to calm, which means that you're not able to study, right? And you're not able to put things into your brain that's going to help you. And, that's what comes from that men of collector and elevation piece, is that, we're looking to share different approaches for everybody, right? For everybody, because we know it's important to calm, right? We know it's important to have time in seated meditation. We know that.
And
right?
One of the things that, this weekend, I do work and I do volunteer work with Community Health or Healing Forum. The Community Healing Forum is a group of us that go into different organizations and we do healing forums and we pray and we ask these questions to help people to get to the place of healing. And this weekend was with Black Lives Matter in Long Beach. And as I'm sitting there, I realized this is our purpose. We're here to help each other. We're not looking to the government to aid us, because I'm reading Audre Lorde and her essay that says the tools of the masters will never dismantle the master's home. I'm reading this going, and what she's saying is that we can't use the same tools that they're using to keep us down. We can't use and expect them to show around. And I'm expecting, for the government to go, Skip, you and Monk were so right. Y'all matter. Y'all matter. Why am I expecting this government or anyone to come up and say that? Because they're not. But what I do know, my call is, what am I here to do? And I'm here to be a minister. I'm here to be a practitioner and a prayer. And that's what we were doing. We were servicing the Black Lives Matter protesters and movement. We were helping them heal, being of service. I believe the Men of Color, Elevation Collective is created for us to help each other to elevate. Brother, can you explain to us why you created this? What was your vision and what was the inspiration of creating this Elevation Collective?
I think the biggest piece was, traveling the world and seeing how men's health, and in particular men's health, people of color, it's deteriorating. And, it goes back to what Monk was talking about a second ago is, long term, the best way to get to a culture is to take away their men, right? And then take away the men means take away their young men. And so as a teacher, as an educator, as a beacon of light for lifelong learning, it is all about, helping men learn to be better. And that can be anything in those spectrum that we were chatting about, the physical movement. So, I love to move, right? I play ball. I look to do everything. And if we can show people that there's other ways that you can move rather than going to the gym, and you can do your yoga, you can do your Tai Chi, you could do your Qigong, you could do your body awareness exercises. There's heaps of things that we can do that some people aren't open to because it hasn't been offered. So what we're going to try to do is offer. And then that could be the same thing with our eating piece, or how we look to eat, how we look to consume, right? Whether or not that is where we shop, or what we choose to cook, or that it's, we're frightened of a new recipe, and that, I'm not going to try to make some vegan burgers because I don't know how to cook beans, right? I don't know. But if we can offer that
it's as more than beets in the burger.
But if we can offer some support to those men from other men that are doing it, that might give them a little bit of leeway and feel a little bit more comfortable and confident to do that.
Yeah.
And then the biggest piece, I really think that the biggest piece is not just the body stuff, not just the approach to taking care of your temple, but really about the words you choose to use, right? And the importance of how deeply embedded my listening is, and how that affects my day. And if we can help men, young men, boys, figure it out that, boom, I'm getting triggered. What can I do to question if I heard correctly, right? Did I hear that guy call me that?
Yeah.
Right? Did I hear that teacher say that I'm dumb? Or is that what I heard, right? Is that what I thought I heard, the narrative? And if we can increase the knowledge to those folks, to myself, to feel confident enough to say, hey, I need some clarity on that. What did you just say, right? Did I hear you correctly? And then that starts changing our mental, emotional health, which who knows how long that will take, right? Who knows how long that will benefit us, right? All of those pieces fall into the Men of Color Elevation Collective. That's the summit that we're trying to put together, trying to gather all these wonderful humans doing good things. And that's really what it's all about.
Nice.
That's beautiful. And, when you're speaking about the food part, it's like we were watching a Laker game last night, and the commercial would come on, and they were talking about Burger King, 2 Whoppers for $5. Right. And it shows this black man, how excited he was. And he was sitting there, and he was like 350 pounds, and he's, 2 for $5. And it's like pushing this narrative, and it's all done on purpose. Right. And then it shows this same commercial, a young black girl, super excited about fast food as well. These are the number one killers. This is worse than drugs.
And part of our conversation about the food desert, Monk.
And they're pushing it on us in every single direction. You see it everywhere you go. You see it on the TV. You see it here. You see it there. And what I came to realize is, I don't know if I told Skip about this before, I used to walk down the street of my old house. I used to walk to the gym because it was only a few blocks away. And everything that you've seen, all the garbage that you've seen on the side of the street was all fast food, cigarettes, alcohol. Everything that dumbs you down was the trash that was left on the side. You never seen anything that was healthy. You never seen a wrapper that was some healthy food came in. So as you're eating this stuff, it's not only physically doing things to, it's dumbing you down. It's lowering your vibration. So you will be that person that just takes your bag and throws it out the car window.
This is part of the conversation.
You're not even processing things right.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense to you now. And I made that connection. I'm like, everything on this street is something that's going to do something negative to you. And I was like, they blew my mind. I was like, yeah, this is how you act when you partake with these these substances, whether it be food or, drugs or alcohol. It's there. Where do you find the needles at? You find needles on the ground. You find cigarettes on the ground. You find blunt wrappers on the ground. You find, McDonald's and Starbucks. You find all this on the ground.
Yeah.
You never find anything that's going to help your body on the ground.
Hmm.
And it makes you think and move and live. This is how it does. When you partake in this, when you consume these things, it really has an effect not only on your body, but how you use this.
One of the things that we got a chance to talk about in the collective, and I'm not sure when you're releasing that. I want to make sure that we get the information to the people before we shut down this show, because this is very important that they'll know how to reach you. But one of our conversations we talked about was the food desert, and the food desert is real. The food desert, yeah. And I've been reading more and more about that, and there is this initiative now that's beginning. And I think it's not a little bit too late, too soon, but it's right on time to bring more of elevated nutrition into more deprived neighborhoods. There is this movement to happen, which I believe that this is the time that we need to do it more so than ever. But the food desert is real. It's real, where we don't see Trader Joe's and we don't see, Whole Foods in Black neighborhoods.
What's happening though, at least in Oakland, in some of the neighborhoods, gardens are starting to pop up.
Yeah,
community gardens, and I think that's so important and so huge, because not only is it fresh food, but it's showing the people in that neighborhood how to grow their own food.
Yeah,
and when you don't have it available for you, if you can grow it, you can grow what you need. You're okay.
Dr. Shaka, I was going to ask you, is there a food desert that happened in Australia, or do you know about this? Is this something that you're seeing in the indigenous areas of New Zealand and Australia?
Yeah, so in both those countries, in Australia and in New Zealand, I'll speak on Australia first. The indigenous, the Aboriginals there, it's so similar to the Native American and the reservations, right? They've been pushed off the good land, and they're living out in the back. And in regards to, I guess, social economics, they are on the bottom rung, and so their foods that they can buy, is the cheapest quality gear, and with that, you can't think straight, right, Mom? Yeah. And with that, you're not able to make good decisions. So, however, the weather down there in Australia is enough that there's a lot of people that are garden, right? And a lot of people are still putting their hands in the earth and grounding and being aware of kind of the native food, right? They're not too far away from knowing how to eat their traditional food, their traditional taka. New Zealand would be something similar, right? The Maori there, the Tongan, the Polynesian population, they certainly eat inside their culture. Interesting enough, though, when they do get together and have a big meal, oftentimes it's real fatty foods, right? It's not McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's a hongi, right? And so they bury a big pit and they throw a pig or a sheep and some collard greens.
If they ate a lot of pork, because a lot of those cultures eat a lot of pork.
That's right. So it's there to be eaten, and just long term, it's not so good for us. Yeah. So it's a different approach to, I guess, how the system is trying to keep us down. The Australian, New Zealand indigenous, they're approached differently than Native Americans or people of color here in the United States.
Yeah, we had Jeff Palmer on our show last week, and he talked about the origins of fried foods, and these fatty foods that we eat came from a place of actually survival, of safety. Deep fried food, to make sure you fry it up so you don't get sick from it, because they are the scraps. And I believe that this lifestyle of this, what became culture, was out of a place of necessity.
Yeah, I always say we still eating the slave diet, and that's crazy. To celebrate a holiday eating pig intestines, it just blows my mind that people are like, to celebrate. We are doing this not because we have to, because this is our culture, And that's just crazy. If you really look at it from an objective place, if you didn't know anything about it and someone said, here, these are pig intestines. Here, you want some? It just sounds crazy, right? But we can't even make that connection, how crazy that is. And we will still eat these things.
But Monk, this is why we're doing the show, and I believe that people are listening. You know, last week we had over 2,000 people and comments of I never knew that on Jeff's show. So I believe that we get to elevate this conversation, Monk, which you do so eloquently, and Dr. Shaka, thank you for being here. This is our calling. We're here to bring light to it. So we always want to end our show with asking, what's the answer? What do we do? You know, and I know we're going to bring the collective, Men of Color collective elevation into this because this is part of the answer. But Dr. Shaka, what do you think the answer is about us elevating, about Black men elevating?
I think there's a lot of different ways that you can go, but I think it starts with self.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And what I mean is, if we just use nutrition, for instance, and I know I need to change my approach. I'm not gonna like the food I eat. It's gonna be nasty looking. It's not what I'm used to, and I don't know how to cook this shit. And that's the being comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? You know, just give yourself a little leeway to buy in, right? To settle in and to start absorbing the good pieces. And I think nutrition has to be one of the pieces to start with. And you know, like you guys talk about all the time, you know, it's about your meditation, being able to be in seated practice and start listening differently.
Yeah. Hey, Monk, what's the answer today, bro?
Yeah, I agree with you. It really is about the self. But the issue with that is, at one point, you can tell me anything. I don't care how many people came up and told me what to do that would help me, right? It had to come to a point where I was basically put in a position where I had to look inside. So for us, as what we're doing right now is we're talking to the people, not like I used to be, but we're talking to the people that are right there, that are ready to receive this message. They're ready to do something different. So when I made my pivot back in the day, if someone would have came to me at that time, I would have received that. We can't do anything about the people that they're not ready.
Yeah.
Well, we got to talk and speak up as much as possible for the people that are right there. That even if they got a little bit of what we're saying, to change their diet, because once you change your diet, you start raising your frequency. You start raising then maybe something will make sense up here. So there's different ways to go about it, right? For me, it was meditation first, then the diet came. So you can go either way, or you can go several ways, but you got to start on that path, whatever it is, whether it be a spiritual path, meditation, diet. One of those things, and that's why it's so important for all of us to come from different angles, because one of those things, if it gets someone attention and they start on that path, then the other stuff is going to come.
And for me is realizing, and thank you, Dr. Shaka, and thank you, Monk, for saying what you're saying. For me, the answer was realizing that I was already on a path and I didn't realize it. Everything that I had done brought me to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, to where I'm at now, and realizing that, this was the journey. I had to gain my, the freshman 15 that we talk about, the freshman 10. When I went to NYU, I gained the freshman 40. I was out of control, living in New York City. NYU, eating everything I could. And next thing I know, I'm 40 pounds heavier. Going home, my mother's like, what happened to you? And so that was the journey of abusing alcohol and drugs. That was the journey that got me to here. The journey of abusing my body and being diagnosed with HIV. That is the journey. within all of that, there is this beauty realization that it was all within this me waking up and having this moment. And how you get there, like you said, Monk, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You get there.
Yeah. So the issue with that problem is we're all on the journey, right? Yeah. So every one of us, all three of us, whatever experiences we had was leading us to this point.
Yeah.
But absolutely. A lot of times people they don't get it in this time around. You see what I'm saying? We're always on the journey, no matter what we think, right? Because I can look back now and go, okay, I needed that. But some people they don't get it this time around.
Yeah.
So they're on that journey, but they never wake up to the realization that this is the journey, and they never find that purpose in this lifetime.
I think not just the waking up, but I think the hardest part for me, Monk, was in all my stages when I was needing to wake up, is that I didn't know how to ask, right? I was so arrogant and so angry and so lost that I didn't know how to ask, right? And you talk about what one of the answers would be is learning how to ask, learning how to ask for help, feeling brave enough to send Monk an email and say, yo, what do you got for me? That's brave.
That's the collective. That we are all here to help each other. And speaking of collective, when will it drop? Because I know we're going to have a little bit of delay. So when are you dropping the collective, and how can men of color, and I believe women, I believe everybody needs to listen to what we got to say so they can understand. So where and when will it drop?
Yeah, we're looking to drop in the first week of November at the moment. That hasn't been definitive yet, but that's what we're looking for. And yes, we've already chatted with a few women that want to be involved. But at the moment, this is a man thing. We got to do this, and we're going to put it together, and we're going to be able to stand around and help each other grow. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Is there a website that people that can connect with you about?
Yeah, so I got an email that hasn't come out yet. The website, it's Elevation Collective Summit at gmail.com, and I can flick you the link.
And they can get more information from you on Instagram, because you are at shaka.hatcher.
Yes, sir.
And then on Facebook, because you have to put the doctor in front of it on Facebook, you have to get real serious with Facebook.
Yeah.
Dr. Shaka Hatcher. That's where people can find you.
Apparently that's important in some parts. It's not important in my house, but that's what it is. That's what it is. I can't tell my kids anything, right?
You gotta bow down and say Monk. Ain't that right, Tammy? You gotta go Monk. Hallelujah, Monk. Hey, you know what? What was your topic about, Monk? I didn't even know what your topic. When you talked to Dr. Hatcher, what was your topic about? What did you talk about?
Me and him?
Yeah, what y'all talking about?
We just talked. We just talked. I mean, it wasn't even really no topic. I mean, I didn't know it was supposed to be a topic. We just got on the phone and just started chopping it up. That's all.
Right on. I'm looking forward to hearing it. I'm looking forward to being a part of it, and we'll blast it off on our website, and we'll get people to really tune in, because I think this is the answer. Absolutely the answer. So, Monk, tell them about the podcast, brother.
Okay, we're going to have a podcast coming up so you can listen to Skip's crazy ass without seeing him. It's going to be on Spotify is one of the platforms, iHeartRadio. Yeah. And you say Apple Radio?
It's Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. Yeah. This is coming in a couple weeks.
Couple of weeks. I'd say probably when we finish, we have 3 more shows, actually 2 more shows left in this season. And right after that, we'll be releasing each episode week by week on the podcast.
Yeah. So if you're stuck in traffic, you just want to listen. I do it all the time. I listen to people all the time.
I do too. Podcast is it, man.
In the car is a perfect opportunity to learn.
It is.
I rarely listen to music in my car. It's always, let me see, I look up my YouTube, what I subscribe to, and I pick somebody from there, like Muji, someone else like that, and I put them on, and The trip is over like that.
Podcasts is no joke. I love it. And books on tape or
Yeah,
books
like,
or Audible. I just
He said tape.
every time.
Showing your age, brother.
I say this every time. Books on
he
tape.
said track.
On the
VHS.
8-track. On the 8-track. Yes.
He said his car can only hold 5 8-tracks because they're so big.
You ain't right. You ain't right.
You said
I
it, though. You did say
swear. Audible. You guys,
That was kind of futuristic for him. He said tapes. He really needed with an 8-track. My first Pinto with an 8-track in it.
Mug, stop. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are Two Black Authors on Facebook and Instagram. We have our website is up and running, and it is twoblackauthors.com. Get all the information where you can reach out to either Monk or myself or together. And loads of stuff will be coming through the website to you really soon. So, again, it is my absolute honor. Thank you, Dr. Hatcher. Thank you, Shaka.
Thank you so much.
Shaka. And thank you, Mom.
I am kind of jealous of the name too, though.
I know that's a deep name.
That was a great movie back in the day. I watched that movie and I wanted to be that guy.
It was so on. It was so on. Monk, we doing the after show over Instagram Live.
Man, what kind of question is that?
No, I apologize for my partner.
What kind of question is that?
Why you got to go all Oakland on me?
I'm just saying. I'm just asking you a question.
And go Lakers. I'm just saying, go Lakers. Go Lakers.
I'm a LeBron fan. I don't even care about.
I am a LeBron fan too. I almost wore my LeBron 20. I'm wearing my shirt next week because you know they're going to be in it.
Almost don't mean nothing. You know that. That's like saying your beard is almost not gray.
On that note, we shutting this down right here, right now. I don't have room for another insult. Hey, peace and blessings, y'all.
Thank you.
Everybody next week.
All right, y'all.
Blessings, everybody.